If you want to use Canva to make stunning pro-level digital products to sell online, this video is for you. Canva is a really robust design tool and has so many amazing features for creating and editing graphic designs. If you're just starting out on your digital product journey with Canva, I know how intimidating it can feel, which is why in this video I've boiled it down to share my top 15 absolute must-know Canva tools for designing digital products. These are the 15 tools I feel are going to serve you best and move the needle most when it comes to creating digital products that truly appear quality and professional. Now, some of these features are available to use on Canva's free plan, and a few of them are Canva Pro features, which means they're only available to users that are paying for Canva's upgraded Canva Pro plan. Now, if you don't have Canva Pro yet and feel like you might like to give it a try, I've got my affiliate link in the description box below that'll give you 30 days free using Canva Pro so you can experiment with these Pro features, try it out, and see if it might be a good fit for your business. So I've organized these 15 tools into 4 main categories, which are AI tools, editing tools, user experience, and apps. So let's go ahead and jump into this first category of AI tools. As AI has been on the rise in the past few years, people are getting more used to the idea of using AI tools. Canva has incorporated several into their platform, which are so helpful and save tons of time and effort, instantly performing design tasks that previously, if done manually, would take minutes or even hours to get done. So I'm a big fan of these different Canva AI capabilities because they truly shortcut the process for designers and make it that much easier, especially for beginners, to achieve a really pro level and quality look to their designs. So I'm here inside the Canva editor and I have this photo pulled up, which I'm going to use to show you these first few AI tools that you can access inside of Canva. So when you're working with a photograph, if you come up to this top toolbar where it says edit, you can click on that and you'll see an extra toolbar pop over from the left. You'll see the heading Magic Studio. Anything that starts with magic inside of Canva is a clue that that's an AI tool. So we've got Magic Eraser, Magic Grab, Magic Text, Magic Edit, and Magic Expand. Now these are all pro features. You can tell because they have the little crown symbol in the bottom right corner. Any features, tools, or elements that you see with that crown symbol means that it's only available for Canva Pro users. So the first one we're going to try out here is the Magic Eraser. When I select this, I can either choose to use a brush or to click to erase a certain part of the photo that I don't want there. So here I'm on brush. I can select if I want to increase my brush size or decrease it if I want a smaller area. Then I'm going to just click and drag this over the area or the object that I want erased. So let's say I don't want this coffee cup in the image. I'm just going to click here and highlight over this whole coffee cup using my brush. And once I've got the whole thing selected, then I'm going to come over and choose where it says erase. And it's going to use the Canva AI to erase this coffee cup and add in a matching background. So there, it's gotten rid of my coffee cup. Now the background isn't quite matching super well, which happens sometimes. So I can easily fix this just by using my tool again to go over that little area, click erase. And there, that section is much better. And I can then place a new element or text here if I want, as I've been able to erase that coffee cup. Now I'm going to go back and bring the coffee cup back because I want to show you what this is like if I use the click option. So I'm switching from brush over to click, which means that I can just use my cursor to hover over the different elements and I can click on the one that I want to erase. So if I want this coffee cup erased, I'm just going to click on that. It automatically highlights it for me. And then I choose erase. So that is the Magic Eraser. Now moving over to Magic Grab, I also have a brush or a click option here. So I'm going to select objects to grab. And what this does is when I choose grab on my selected object, it separates that specific element from the background of the photo. So now I can click and move this object around on its own. So if I wanted to keep this coffee cup, but just move it slightly to a different part of the picture, I could do that. I can also enlarge it. I can rotate it. I can do a lot of different things with this now that it is its own element. So the next one that I love is this Magic Edit feature. This is where I can click an element in my photo and give it a prompt for what I want it to add or change to this element. So I'm not erasing, I'm not moving this. I'm using the AI to add or change it. So I might say, add a heart shape on top of the coffee in the mug. Click generate. And here it's given me some different options that I can choose to use if I like any of these, or I can generate again for something different. Now let's say I want to use this photo for a social media post, but the aspect ratio and the sizing of it are not quite right. So for instance, I've got this size canvas that I'm working with. I can see the white part of the background here. And even if I click to expand this photo so it's filling the top to the bottom, I've got a little bit of open space left here to the left. Now I could expand this all the way to fill that, but then that's cropping off the top part of my photo, which I don't want. So I can use my magic expand tool to expand this photo all the way to the left. So this is going to use AI to fill in this empty space to the left. When I click magic expand, I can choose if I want to use the freeform tool to show where I want this to expand to. I can choose whole page, which automatically is going to bring it to fill in the rest of the page, or the 1:1 square aspect ratio. For now, I'm going to choose whole page and click expand, and it's using AI to fill in that gap. So again, it's given me 4 different options here that have slight variations, but I can see over here it did a pretty good job of filling this in with a similar marble background. It filled in the rest of this corner of this item here and gave me a little bit extra of a notebook. I can click through these options to see which one might be the best and use that, or click to generate new results to try again if it didn't quite get it right that time, and keep generating until I find one that I like. Now, if I go back to my Canva homepage, I can see here on the left, on the bottom where it says Dream Lab, this is the next AI feature we're gonna look at, and this is Canva's AI image generation tool. I love Dream Lab because it's so simple and easy to use. You can just describe the image you want it to generate for you as your prompt here in this box. So let's say I want an image of a giraffe walking in the open plains at sunset. Then I have a few options down here. One of my favorites is this add image. This is where you can actually upload an image to the Dream Lab to use as a reference for the style that you want for your generated image. So if I have a different photo or image that I really like the style of and I want it to generate this new one in that same style, I can upload my image here as an example for Dream Lab to go off of. Then here I can click to select a style. They've got all different types of styles. So if I want it to look more like an illustration, I can choose that. It can be minimalist. It can be more of a sketch style or a pop art style. So for this one, I'm going to go with illustration. And then I can also choose my aspect ratio. So if I want it to be a square orientation, horizontal, vertical, I've got different options for that as well. And then I'm going to click create, and it's going to bring up 4 different options for my image. And here are my 4 options, which I think it did an amazing job given the prompt that I gave it. So of course I can click if I like any of these to use them and click open in the editor to continue working with this and editing it further, or I can switch anything up and generate again. So I might want to try altering the prompt a little bit, adding or taking away certain details, or change the style or the aspect ratio to get something closer to what I'm looking for. Now we're about to move on to category number 2, but if you're interested in making money online by selling digital products, then you're definitely going to want to click the link below after you watch this video to hop over and watch my free 45-minute long masterclass, Digital Product Powerhouse. In this training class, I go through my personal 4-step method to starting and growing a profitable digital products business from square one. This is the class I wish I had had when I first started years ago, and I know it's going to be so helpful to you because it's a complete deep dive into everything you need to know to get started selling digital products today. So again, it's completely free. Link is in the description box below. And I know that'll give you a huge head start to starting and growing your digital products business. So those are my favorite Canva AI tools. And now it's time to move to category number 2, which is editing tools. So here we're going to look at certain capabilities you have in your editing that are not necessarily related to AI. These are just your standard editing tools, but there are a lot of different ones in Canva. So I think it's important for you to know which ones are the most important for you to get familiar with, and the ones that you'll likely be needing to use on a regular basis to make your designs look really polished and professional. So the first one we're going to talk about is text effects. So when you've added some text to your canvas and you select it, you'll see this top toolbar here, and one of your options says effects. When you click on that, you'll see over here to the left all of these different amazing effects you can apply to your text to just level it up a little bit and take it beyond just plain text. So we've got style and shapes. So under the style heading, we've got different styles like adding a shadow. If you select that, you can change all of the different settings for your shadow, like how much it's offset from the original text, the direction the shadow is going, the blur amount, and the transparency. You can also change the actual color of the shadow. So if I wanted to change that to a different color, I could do that as well. Then we've got the lift style, which is similar to the shadow, but it's a little bit understated. It's not meant to be a sharp shadow, but it's just enough of a blur underneath to sort of lift that text up off the page and give it a slight 3D effect. I can change the intensity of that. I can select the next one, which is hollow. Again, changing the thickness of this. Each one of these styles has different settings you can change. Splice is a really popular one. This is where it's actually hollowing out the text and adding a shadow underneath, sort of combining the two. So I can change the thickness of that outline of the text, the offset of the shadow, the direction of the shadow, and the color that's underneath. We've got an outline style, an echo style, Glitch, which is really fun. You can play around with the colors on that. Neon, which looks like a neon sign, and you can play around with the intensity of that. Can add a background behind, changing if we want that background box to have rounded corners, how far the spread goes, the transparency, lots of fun styles here. And then under the shape, we have a curved option. So if we want to curve our text, we can select that. Again, always able to resize this, make it larger or smaller, and have that curved text in conjunction with one of these styles that we've chosen. Now, the next feature we're looking at is Canva frames. So when you come over to the left side under elements, you can scroll down to the section that says frames and click to see all. And these are all the different Canva frames that are going to allow you to fit a photo or an image into a specific shape. So instead of having to manually go around your photo or image and cut out certain parts, you can just select a frame. So this is like a paper cutout shape, and then bring your photo into it, and it automatically takes on the shape that that frame was in. They have so many different fun ones, from film and photo options, ones that look like Polaroids. They've got device frames like iPhones, computers, laptops, tablets, paper cutouts, flower shapes, abstract blob shapes, retro frames. You can even do a letter or a number and see which ones are trending. So some of my favorites, especially in the digital products business world, are these device frames. So I love to pick something like a computer, and then let's say I'm using one of my brand photos for this, and whatever photo I want, I can drag it into, and it appears like it's on the computer. Frames are just so fun to play around with, and they save so much time as opposed to having to manually cut your pictures into a specific shape. Now let's talk about transparency. So transparency is a simple tool, but it makes a big impact in the world of graphic design. So a few things you can do with transparency. So I'm working with this photo here. When I select it, I can see my transparency tool here at the top. It's these little squares that look like they're going from solid all the way to see-through. So if I click on that, I've got a little slider here. And as I bring it to the left, my photo is becoming more and more transparent or see-through. And if I bring it to the right, it's becoming more solid. So one thing that's a great graphic design idea is to add layers. So if I wanted to use this photo as a background layer, I could add something like a shape on top, which could be something like this rectangle. So I'm going to size this up, position it in the middle. And my purpose here is that I'm going to add a third layer on top with some text. So let's add some example text here. So just so we can see what this looks like. So I've got my text here on top, but I want this square to be a little bit see-through. So the background photo is showing through this slightly. So I'm going to select my square, come up to transparency, and bring this transparency slider down a little bit so I can see that background photo showing through that square. If I keep it here in the middle, the square doesn't go away. It just shows through a little bit, so I can decide how much transparency I want. So I can have my 3 different layers here. Now let's do one other thing with the transparency, which is to change our background color here behind this main photo to an actual color. And then I'm going to layer my photo all the way on top of it, but I'm going to change the transparency of this photo. So as I'm bringing the transparency of the photo down, that blue background color is showing through more and more. So I could do something like this where it's mostly blue, just slightly able to see what's in the photo, and then add some text on top of that. And there I've got what looks like a colored overlay over my photo. I can also accomplish this by removing that background color, leaving my photo all the way to the right in terms of transparency, and then adding a shape like a square shape, sizing it up all the way across the photo, changing that shape to the color I want, and then bringing down the transparency on the square itself so that the photo is showing through, which achieves a similar effect. All right, the tool that's next up is the background remover. This is a pro feature. You can tell because it has this little crown symbol, but this is one of my absolute favorite Canva features because it makes it so easy to just remove a background. But let me go back so you can see that again. Here's a picture of me against this white wall, but let's say I want to use just the subject of the photo, which is me in this case. I want to remove this background. I'm going to click background remover, and it instantly removes that. So all I'm left with is the picture of me, which I can then resize, reposition, and add in a different background. So let's say I like this brick wall. I can add this photo in. I want to stretch this to cover my whole canvas. Now, of course, this is layered on top of me right now. I need to send this to the back as the back layer. So I can right click, choose layer and send to back. and that puts it behind this image of me. So now I can make this look exactly like I want it to. Now, if you are wanting to use Canva to sell digital products, but maybe feel a little overwhelmed at starting from scratch, I've got you covered. I've got a whole Canva template bundle for digital products that's completely free. I've got it linked in the description box below. You can grab that template bundle and actually use those templates that my team have created that are pro level, quality, and in-demand styles to use to create your own products to sell. It comes with full commercial usage rights, so you don't have to worry about that. You can start with these templates, make them your own, and turn around and sell those as your own digital products online. So again, totally free to you, just to help you out, give you a little bit of a head start in the beginning. So definitely click the link below to grab that when you're done watching this video. All right, moving on to our third category, which is user experience. There's actually only one feature we're going to be talking about within this category, but I had to give it its own category because it is one of my absolute favorite features on Canva, and this is brand kits. So when you're here on your Canva homepage, you'll see on the left-hand menu where it says brand. This is also for pro users only because it has this little crown symbol. But when we click on brand, it's going to bring us into the brand kit area. So this is super useful for any types of color schemes, font styles, images, or graphics that you want to have quick access to inside the editor when you're creating products. So you don't have to manually go and remember each different color that you're using for a certain template set or digital product that you're creating. You'll have a one-click access to it. So let's look at it here in the brand kit. I've got several created here for different purposes. I've got my main brand kit for my marketing, but I've also got different brand kits for the different types of templates we've created. So when you go into a brand kit, you'll see first your area where you can upload your assets. These could be things like logos that you want quick access to. So I've got several different logos here for my different programs. You can add a color palette. You can add specific fonts that you want quick access to. You can add your brand voice, and you can add assets like photos, graphics, and icons. So this is my main Kate Hayes brand kit. So when I'm here in the editor, I can come over to brand here on the left, select which brand kit you want, and here it's going to show all of the different assets and colors and fonts that you've chosen for that brand kit. So if I want to add a photo from my brand kit, I can just have quick and easy access to add one of these photos. If I'm adding text to my design, when I have my text selected, my brand kit options will automatically pop up here in the menu to the left. So I've got my fonts ready to go. I don't have to come up here and search for the font I want. I know I've got this specific font for my heading. This one's for my subheading. This one's for body text. So it automatically applies those if I'm selecting it right from here on the left. It'll also display my chosen brand colors. If I come up here to change the text color, I've got my brand kit options right here. Here's my color palette with all my brand colors. So again, I'm not having to choose this and go find the color I want. It's automatically available right here for me to change. And another fun area that I can make use of this is up here on the left where it says design. If I click over to the right tab that says styles, I've got my fonts here. I've got my color palette here for my brand kit. I can click on color palette and it will automatically change all of the colors from the background color to my text color to any graphics I may have in here with colors. And I can shuffle through my brand colors over and over again until I find a combination that I like for my design. This is one reason why I absolutely think Canva Pro is worth the monthly amount that you pay for it, because of options like this that you get access to this brand kit. Saves so much time and effort by having these tools and assets available. All right, time to move on to our next category, which is apps. Canva has tons of apps that are accessible within your editor. If you come over to the left-hand side where it says apps, you can search for specific apps here, or you can just scroll through the different featured and trending apps. And they each have a specific purpose they serve. So there are all kinds of apps, from image generators to apps that edit your text a certain way to generating QR codes. So anything you're not finding within your main editor, you can come here to apps and explore to find a tool that will do what you're wanting it to do. So I have several apps that I love and use on Canva, but I want to highlight the top ones that I think are going to be most useful for your digital products business. Number one being the Mockups app. So if I come up here and type in Mockups, this is the one I'm going to select. It's the Mockups app, and I can see here all of the different mockup images that they have available for me to use. If you're not familiar, a mockup is a photo that is blank that you can layer your specific unique design into or on top of to make it appear that it's a physical item. So for instance, if I'm selling mugs, I might want to display my specific design on a picture of a mug. If I'm selling tote bags, they've got mockups with different tote bag options. We've got outdoor sign mockups, tablets and TVs, watches, images, graphics, print, smartphones. There's a whole library here at your fingertips. But what I love about this is it combines the mock-up image with a Canva frame. We saw how easy it was earlier to drag a photo or an image into. So for instance, if I click this smartphones section, let's say I want to use this mock-up with the phone and I want to layer my image on top of this so it appears that it's in the phone. I'm just simply going to drag and drop my image into the mock-up. So most likely I'm going to be using my uploads tab. This is where I can come and upload my own files into Canva that I want to use. So I'm just going to use this same image that I did before of one of my brand photos. I'm going to drag this over and release on top of the mockup, and there it's input my photo into the mockup so it appears that it's on the phone. So these mockups are really useful for marketing purposes. If you're wanting to showcase maybe your social media posts or your products themselves, you can use these for your listings. There's a wide variety of purposes and instances that you can use a mockup image for. Now coming back to our apps section, the next one we're going to look at is called Frame Maker. So I'm going to type that in, and this is what I'm looking at here, Frame Maker. And this is where I can actually create my own Canva frame. So we talked about how frames are in fun different shapes, and Canva does have a whole built-in library of their own frames that you can use, but maybe you can't find the exact shape that you want in that frames library. You can come to the Frame Maker app and design your own. You can start with a shape by choosing down here if you want to start with a triangle or one of these other shapes, and then you'll see that it's set on top of a grid. So whenever you double click on the grid, it'll add an additional point to your shape, which you can then click and drag to move around. You can make the grid behind have more points, which will allow your shape to be more precise, or less points, and you can use these settings to make it exactly what you want. So let's say I wanted to add some shapes like this. I'm going to just play around with this, experiment until I've got the shape I want. And then when I've got it ready, I can click to add it to my design, and I can continue using this by dragging whatever photo or image I want on top of it, and it automatically fits it to my shape. Super helpful and super useful. All right, back in our apps section, the next one we're going to look at is called Type Gradient. So we're going to type that in. This is it right here. And this is going to allow us to enter specific custom text that's going to have a gradient of colors inside of it. So we can type in what our main text is going to say. We could say, hey, happy Monday. We can choose what font we want this text in. Now for this specific purpose, we probably want something that's a little more bold so we can see the gradient really well. I'm going to choose this fun balloony font. And then below that, we can adjust the gradient colors. There's 3 dots on here, which are representing the 3 different colors that are showing up in our gradient. It's starting with the light blue at the top and flowing into that purple at the bottom. But we can move these circles around to whatever color we would like, and even change the shade of it up here. If we want, let's say, more of a red-orange color, we can click on that. We can really click wherever we want to make this exactly the gradient we want. So let's say I don't want a cool tone gradient. I want something that's all more warm colors. I'm going to just play around with this until I've got exactly what I'm looking for. I can click to add additional colors in the gradient just by clicking anywhere here to add another dot, and that's going to give me a 4th, and I can continue by adding more and more until it's looking like what I want. Then I'm going to click Add to Design, and here it is. I can then continue editing by resizing, repositioning, moving around, and this is just a fun way to add an extra pop of color and professionalism to your text, since adding gradients like this is not currently available in the main text editor. All right, our next app we're looking at that's super helpful is called Bulk Create. This is useful if you're wanting to create similar pages on one Canva project that just say slightly different things, but you want the design to basically be the same. So first, I'm going to design this page to be whatever I want it to be. So let's say I want these designs to have a blue background. Maybe I want it to have a cute little leaf graphic on it. And then I know I want text on there for it to say what I want it to say. I'm just going to add a little text box, and then I'm going to come to my Bulk Create app and choose down here that I want to upload data. Now, before I actually get to this point, what I need to have created a spreadsheet. The easiest way I do this is using Google Sheets. It's free and easy to use. So for instance, something like this where I have input different quotes that I want to go one on each page. I can easily use a tool like ChatGPT to generate things for this if I'm looking for different quotes or sayings or phrases that I could include in my product, but I'm going to bring this into a spreadsheet, and I'm going to download this spreadsheet as a comma-separated values file or a .csv file. Then when I click my upload data in my bulk create app, I'll be able to bring in the CSV file that I just downloaded. Then I'm going to come over to where I have my text on my project, right click and choose connect data, and then choose from the option here, which selects the field that I want to go here in the text area. Then I'm going to leave all of these different quotes checked because I want a page for each of these. And then I'm going to click generate 11 designs, and then it's going to automatically generate a page for each quote. The background color and the leaf are staying because that was my original design, but it's changing out this text to reflect each of my phrases that I want here. So this saves a lot of time as opposed to doing something like this manually. If you know you want to generate a bulk amount of these types of projects, you can do this much quicker and easier with this app, Bulk Create. Now, another app that I find very helpful is an app that can generate a QR code for you. So I'm going to type in QR. There's several of these actually within Canva. I'm just going to click this one that says QR code. And this is simple and easy. You're just going to enter the URL for the page that you want your QR code to link to. So I'm just going to type in my website, kate-hayes.com. I can customize the way the QR code is going to look by choosing a background color and a foreground color. So let's say I want the background to be a light pink. I want the foreground to be a sort of darker color. I'm going to choose the margin and then click generate code. So here's my QR code. I can make this smaller or bigger, place it where I want in my project. And this is great for things like marketing materials or printouts, where I want people to scan this and visit a website. This is great for creating an extra infographic that you might use on your Etsy listing. Lots of different ways that you can use QR codes, but Canva just makes it super easy and quick to generate this and add it to your design. So I hope those 15 tools were helpful for you. Don't forget to click below to try out Canva Pro free for 30 days, to grab your digital product template bundle, and also to hop over and watch my free digital products masterclass. Happy designing, friend!